Attack on Titan is, scientifically speaking, really fucking hot right now. Its explosion of popularity in the early 2010s, its low-key chill era until 2017, and its resurgence into mainstream media now in 2020 and 2021 is a journey worthy of one of the most ambitious and compelling manga works of our time. But between the grandiose larger narrative and the literally huge titans, it's easy to overlook the smaller, more subdued aspects of its brilliance. And while I promise you that we will talk about the grander plot in a future video, today I would like to focus on something that is, in my opinion, one of Attack on Titan's most underrated strengths: its mastery of micro-narratives. Micro-narratives are, generally speaking, small, self-contained mini-stories that do mostly not influence the main plot, but do flesh out characters, themes, and tone. For a very quick example, in Naruto, Jiraiya and Tsunade's blossoming romance is very much a micro-narrative. Nothing plot-relevant comes of it, it's barely a focus, and you'd actually kind of be hard-pressed to call it a narrative at all, depending on how charitable you feel. But nonetheless, it is there. A slowly creeping elevation of implied romantic feelings between the two that, while not driving the plot in any way, does add a tinge of wistful regret to these old souls, reinforcing late Naruto's themes of peace, sacrifice, and loss. The benefit of micro-narratives is that they can subtly and sneakily add or develop thematic and tonal ideas without derailing the main story. A central plot has its hands full with pursuing the focal point of the story and presenting that in its various facets, so it often doesn't really have the time to explore all tiny implications and permutations of its ambitions. To return to the series at hand, Attack on Titan's grand narrative about the futility of war cannot really slow down to explore the minutiae of the various attached topics adjacent to war, as to keep the momentum going. After all, war and its relevance for humanity is just such a big topic, you just won't have the time to do that all with the focal lens of the main plot. And this is where micro-narratives come in. Let's solidify this by looking at maybe my favorite micro-narrative in Attack on Titan: Eren meeting his unknowing grandfather, Dr. Yeager, by chance. This short moment happens smack dab in the middle of the plot-heavy Marley arc, and presents a small and self-contained micro-narrative, as Dr. Yeager makes some friendly conversation, warns Eren not to mess with Falco, has a panic attack, and leaves. What I love about this small scene is how much it accomplishes in such a short time and with so little. For one, this micro-narrative has a structural level in which it presents a sort of joke. Dr. Yeager behaves and looks like a doctor at his hospital, which the viewer might be inclined to assume is the case, as we know he was a doctor by trade. However, as his mental instability grows, he's revealed to have been a patient all along. While it is a fun structural joke that plays with the viewer's expectations, it also leads into a thematic level. While the gag might fundamentally be funny in a subversive way, it still instills the manic, unreliable tone Attack on Titan revels in. Nothing can be trusted, everyone might be lying, and almost definitely everyone is a hypocrite. Moreover, it reinforces the themes of how war fucks everyone over, and how the long-lasting consequences of conflict can be hard to see sometimes. Dr. Yeager's loss of his son, and the betrayal of Zeke, and all that jazz happened well over 2 decades ago, and yet the effects still linger, rendering him a broken and unstable man. Through this little parable, Attack on Titan instills upon us a sense that the victims of Marley's conflict are many, and many of them are invisible. We would not know about how badly Dr. Yeager is doing if not for this chance encounter. Then, lastly, there is the character level, specifically regarding Eren. Eren does not leave this conversation as a changed man, nor does he even say anything that important throughout all of it. But his demeanor and look during this moment speak volumes about his newfound maturity and coldness. The old Eren would absolutely not have been able to keep a level head upon meeting his grandfather for the first time, and he would have definitely been somewhat aggressive at the notion of Dr. Yeager's shaming of his Eldian heritage. However, timeskip Eren's calm and calculated serenity in this scene stands in stark contrast to that expectation, and immediately establishes him as a very changed person. However, him subtly triggering Dr. Jaeger's trauma by mentioning his family, something Eren knows about from his dad's memories, does indicate that maybe some of his old malice and resentment is still present, maybe a carryover from his own father's memories. In summary, this scene actually changes nothing. The plot is not advanced, the intrigue of Marley is not furthered, and we don't really get any plot-relevant new information. But this micro-narrative does shine light on a few more minute aspects of the story's themes, in how war and its many tendrils affect marginal characters like Dr. Jaeger in ways of mental health. Additionally, it offers a unique perspective on the, at this point newly introduced, timeskip Eren, which rounds him out to be a much more mature person, ready to blow us away in the upcoming big moments happening at the festival. Nothing about this is revolutionary storytelling in its own right. But remember, micro-narratives are all about doing a lot with very little. We might have only seen one example, but Attack on Titan is full of these. For example, the Scouts Regiment's drunkard and his tragic end, or Oluo's attempts at imitating Levi in order to seem more authoritative. One single micro-narrative might not amount to much by itself, but applied gently and consistently throughout the entire story, these single threads create a rope of literary depth that spans the entirety of the fictional story and world. The main story can simply not stop to tell us about these things. It just can't go into this sort of depth. We could not have an entire arc going into the mental health of the prisoners of Marley or the leftovers of the warrior candidates' families, because that would be a lot of time investment for a very small literary yield. But by using the micro-narratives, you can circumvent that. You can create little tiny self-contained plots that don't take a lot of time at all, but that manage to round your story out, to fill those gaps in the themes and to round out the tone and the characters. Suddenly, the main plot is not just supported by its own themes and characterization, but also enhanced by the additional juicy morsels that add to both of those aspects through the micro-narratives. Attack on Titan does this continuously, and it really ends up adding a ton of breadth and context to all of its narrative threads. In fact, I think one of the biggest things that sets Attack on Titan apart these days is that it is willing to include a lot of micro-narratives, many short, self-contained, just small stories that all have rising tension and a single gag or climax to them that you can easily miss, but that end up rounding out the story, that end up filling those gaps and that end up adding context. So, if there's one thing I want you to take away from this video, I encourage you to revisit the series and see if you can find and delineate more of these micro-narratives and their benefits. It's fun, it'll give you a deeper appreciation of Attack on Titan, and I know you can do it. I believe in you. Hey, thank you so much for watching. I am so happy that I still get to do this. You know, this was again a very weird video because it's kind of like a small topic. But, you know, sometimes you just have to do what you gotta do. You're seeing the patrons here, which are all lovely people, as usual, supporting me despite me doing weird shit like that. It's crazy, right? And of course, I want to shout out the higher tier patrons. Christian Finkbeiner, Fiction Abe, Victor Perez, Sini, Sanji Wan, and Mr. Meander. Thank you all so much. I am so grateful that I can keep doing this. And yeah, like and subscribe if you want to see more. That's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe and wash your hands, goddammit. I'll see you all next time.